Year, everybody. Today is January 5th, 2022. Gonna take a ride on a line that I haven't ridden in quite a few years. Only once have I done this. Gonna ride on the Raritan Valley Line out to the end of the line at High Bridge, out in the sticks. Train 5175 departing at 12:49. Going down the tracks of the old Central Railroad of New Jersey. Riding one of the few trains that go through from New York to High Bridge. No changer trains. Okay, we're on board train 5175 bound for High Bridge. Just exited the tunnel and found something that's pretty difficult to find. A relatively clean window. Although New Jersey Transit promises to replace the window panes on their equipment. It's a rather cloudy, gloomy day today, which is actually what I want. Less sun that I have to worry about. Here. I'm going to be riding on the tracks of the former Pennsylvania Railroad, Lehigh Valley, and the Central Railroad of New Jersey today. This is halide interlocking. This train chases a number of New Jersey Transit trains out of Penn around this time. Trenton train, a Long Branch train, and a Dover train. Bang, 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 bang. There's a few trains each way that run through from New York to High Bridge, but due to capacity restraints, they don't do it on all trains. Definitely need to run some trains from west of Dover to New York. I'm sure a lot of people in Hackettstown and Mount Olive would love to have weekend train service to New York. They have nothing. Well, this is NS's Croxton Yard we're going over, the former Erie-Lackawanna Yard. Interlocking here is Erie. Arriving Secaucus. The interlocking on the west end of the station is called Lac. Get it? Erie Lac, but this isn't the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad. That's downstairs. Well, the Erie Lackawanna never physically ran through this real estate downstairs that was built as part of the station's construction. Train of Comet 4 is coming in. Naturally, this train is powered by an ALP 45DP dual mode. Those engines made it possible for this through service to the Raritan Valley Line to exist. There's a lack. Approaching the Portal Drawbridge. On the opposite side, they're in the process of building a new span. Much needed. Talk to any railroad employee and they'll tell you they need it yesterday. In the background is the Pulaski Skyway. Just past a Keystone train from Harrisburg to New York. Passing under the east and western spurs of the New Jersey Turnpike. They come together here. And that labyrinth of tracks down there. Down below is the Morrison-Essex line of the New Jersey Transit. Track above it is a connection, the waterfront connection that goes to Hoboken. Just before we get to Raritan, I'm going to move back a couple of cars because that car will platform at High Bridge. of path maintenance workers out there. Yeah, this interlocking we're going through right now is Hudson. Must be a test train of some sort. There's the path storage yard for the Newark area. And their maintenance complex and shop. Here's the Path Harrison Station. And trailing that New York bound train was the Air Force DP, my old branch of the service. Approaching the dock lift bridge.
Now arriving Newark Penn Station, Newark Penn Station.
Just crossing the Passaic River. We're arriving on track 4. Normally trains bound for the Raritan Valley Line leave from track 5, but since we're coming from New York, well, this is an important stop of this train. Here the engine will drop its pantograph and start his Cummins diesel engine, as it'll be non-electrified the rest of the way. Okay, departing Newark Penn Station in diesel mode. For a little while longer, we'll be operating on the Northeast Corridor, the old Pennsylvania Railroad, Maine to Washington, until we get to Hunter interlocking shortly, and then we'll switch onto the former Lehigh Valley Railroad tracks, now Conrail shared assets. taking the route of the old Lehigh Valley Black Diamond Maple Leaf. As of, I think, May 1st, 1967, when the Aldine Plan went into effect, CNJ trains started going via the Lehigh Valley Railroad and the Pennsylvania Railroad into Newark Penn Station. The then CNJ Market Street station in Newark was closed. CNJ was trying to rationalize their operations. They were negotiating the transfer here at Hunter pretty fast. That bridge in the background, that's the shared assets of Conrail, the old Lehigh Valley Main, and there's a trash train on it, but I don't know if it's coming or going. Aldine Plan went into effect. The Market Street station in Newark was closed. Trains ran out of Penn Station after that. Trains to Jersey City ended. A shuttle service began out of Bayonne West 8th Street to Cranford. That shuttle connected with these Raritan Valley Line trains there that came out of Newark Penn Station. Also the old Reading Company Crusader and Wall Street were routed to Newark Penn Station as well. And this train is actually heading eastbound. This is probably NS 62V. I believe Conrail Shared Assets owns one track on this line, and New Jersey Transit, owns the other. Although the freight trains can use both tracks if need be. Three tracks now, but we'll be switching to two at NK. Here there used to be a tower called NK. Road out there is US Route 22. We're now firmly on the old Lehigh Valley Railroad main line. The Aldine Plan went into effect, the Lehigh Valley Railroad saw a huge influx of passenger trains, but they weren't Lehigh Valley trains. It was CNJ, later New Jersey Transit. Well, New Jersey Transit didn't exist when the Lehigh Valley Railroad did. It's a busy passenger and freight railroad here. Today, CSX and Norfolk Southern freight trains use this route. Come out of various New Jersey freight terminals. Okay, arriving Union Station, Union, New Jersey. Station opened in 2003. Island platform, popular rail fan spot. You'll notice the switch prior to the platform. That's for the gauntlet track to allow freight trains to use. Without that gauntlet track, the station would be redesigned very severely by freight trains. Okay, next stop is Roselle Park, New Jersey. At one time, that station had the distinction of being the busiest passenger train station on the Lehigh Valley Railroad. After the cessation of Lehigh Valley passenger trains. Now, Bethlehem Union Station was served until 1981 by SEPTA trains to Philly, but that station largely served trains on the Reading side. It did not serve Lehigh Valley trains. Oops, what's this? One of the many freight trains that use this track. Short train, not sure what the symbol was. It's a little early for 28X. It's only 1:20 in the afternoon. I was saying Bethlehem Union Station served trains on the Reading side, not the Lehigh Valley side. But for a little while, until the early 80s, Allentown was served by SEPTA trains, and that was on the Lehigh Valley, but that had nowhere near the number of trains that Roselle Park had. That was after the merger. Lehigh Valley Railroad ceased to exist on April 1st, 1976. It became part of Conrail. But from 1967 till that time, Roselle Park was indeed the busiest passenger train station on the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Roselle Park interlocking. Again, the beginning of a gauntlet track to serve the freight trains. island platform. Leaving Roselle Park, and soon we'll be coming off the ex-Lehigh Valley Railroad track at CP Aldine. That's the interlocking that was built to allow these trains to access Newark Penn Station instead of Jersey City. There's the end of the gauntlet track. I should also mention that CNJ trains out of Jersey City and Newark down to the North Jersey coastline ended with the Aldine plan. And those started running out of Penn Station, Newark. Okay, this is CP Aldine. Here we leave the shared assets. Truss Bridge goes over what was left of the old CNJ main line into Jersey City. You can see a sorry remnant of a track down there. Used to be a 4-track main at one time. It was part of the Royal Blue Route. Ran trains for the B&O from Jersey City to Washington and beyond. Between B&O freight trains and CNJ freight trains, this was one busy freight route. There's also a junction of the tracks that come from Staten Island, the old SIRT. Crosses the corridor at Linden on what I refer to as the B&O Bridge. Of course, the SIRT was owned by the B&O at one time. Saw a Newark bound train there. I don't know if it's going all the way to New York. This is Cranford Station with its high platforms. This has pretty much had high platforms as long as I can remember to facilitate transfers to the Bayonne RDC shuttles. tracks there. Next stop will be Fanwood. Nope, forget what I just said. Next stop is Westfield. You can see the remnants of additional tracks that once existed here. Although there are times when the Conrail Shared Assets line east of Bound Brook is congested, or there's some kind of a accident on it, mishap, they'll route some of those freight trains through here. Passing Garwood Station, train does not stop. Arriving Westfield. Also high platforms. It's got a nice old station. I'm sitting on the lower level of this double-decker car. You can hear the track sound better down here. Now the next station is Fanwood. was once the 4-track Royal Blue Route, is now just a 2-track reverse signaled New Jersey Transit line. Fanwood. My next door neighbor's daughter lives here in Fanwood. Station is Netherwood. Station buildings all boarded up. Station is Plainfield, the only Plainfield station left. There used to be Grant Avenue and Clinton Avenue stations years ago, in addition to the main Plainfield stop. Queen.
Plainfield Station, Plainfield.
Classic old depot here. High platforms. Okay, next stop is Dunellen. See if we can see any remnants of the Grand Avenue and Clinton Avenue stations. Right around here somewhere, there was an Army National Guard armory served by the 250th Signal Battalion. I used to belong to the New Jersey Air National Guard at McGuire Air Force Base, the 204th Weather Flight, and we used to liaison with the 250th Signal here. Spend a lovely 2 weeks in Fort Drum, New York every summer. There's some freight business on this line. I honestly don't know where those two other Plainfield stations were. Don't see any trace of them. But people who watch this video who are from the area probably know exactly where they were. Well, they were gone long ago, decades ago. Dunellen. You can definitely see there was evidence of additional tracks here. All right, our next stop is the famous Railfan hotspot of Brook, New Jersey. Years ago, it was where you could see Jersey Central, B&O Freights also, Lehigh Valley Freights, and Reading Company trains. Reading's Port Reading Secondary headed off from there. Today, the NJT Raritan Valley Line parallels the shared assets. And the shared assets Port Reading secondary diverges off the main there. But before we get there, we'll parallel the Conrail shared assets main on this side. I was railfanning with a railfan back in, I think it was 1971. And he had a brand new Honeywell Pentax camera, and he wanted to try it out, and he wanted to go to Bound Brook and see all the great train action there. And we were there, and we saw, you name it. We saw a Reading Company RDC, CNJ GP7, CNJ GP40Ps, a Baldwin RS12, and a freight with some Alco RST5s, in addition to the Lehigh Valley Railroad C420s, C628s, and some EMD switchers, as well as some Port Reading action, SW1500 from the Reading, and some Reading road power trailing a single flat car. So some weird consists on that line that day. And at the end of the day, he was very happy. He was deliriously happy with all the great stuff he got. But there's more to the story, and I'll tell you that in a minute. Okay, outside there, beyond the bush there, is the Conrail shared assets line. That bridge crosses the Conrail. But up ahead there'll be a crossing that crosses over both sets of railroad tracks. Right there. Great place to railfan, but once I got chased by a local cop. Alright, we're slowing down for Bound Brook. To finish the story about my railfan friend from 1971, that escapade to Bound Brook, he was deliriously happy getting all that stuff, all those unusual locomotive types. And on the way back home, he was like, naturally finished the roll of film, and he wanted to rewind his camera. But when he rewound the camera, he noticed there wasn't much resistance. Normally, when there's film on the rule, there'd be a little bit of resistance. What happened is the film slipped off the rule, and he got none of those things. You want to talk about hell on earth? Riding home with him definitely was that. I thought he was going to have to be taken away in a straitjacket. He was so livid. Can't blame him. And naturally he said, we have to go back to Bound Brook. And we went back and we saw nothing unusual at all. He was pissed even more. Yeah, it's a wide open view here. Shipment Chemical Company. Looks like Conrail does a brisk business at this place. Here, the Conrail Shared Assets line sees CSX and NS trains, as I told you. About, on a good day, about 30 or so, 24 hours. Now, if you look closely, in the background, you see a bridge and another railroad. That's the old Reading Company, Port Reading secondary track. I don't know why we're stopped here. All right, I moved back to the car that detrains at High Bridge. We just met an eastbound here, waiting to get into Bound Brook. Must be single tracking up ahead.
Yeah, well, the first thing you
And you can see the Port Reading secondary over there on the far end with the Conrail Shared Assets main closest to us, behind the ties. Yeah, it's a wide open scene here for those Conrail tracks. Be nice to see a train before it diverges off after this stop. Here, switching over.
Now arriving Bound Brook Station.
Brook interlocking. Built a new self-storage facility between the Conrail and the Port Reading secondary, the old Reading Company Port Reading branch. Noisy brakes. If you wanted to give some performer the raspberry, just play those brakes for them. They'd get highly insulted. Over there you can see that little shed. That's kind of the Railfanning perch. Okay. Departing Bound Brook, next stop is Bridgewater. That was a station established in 1985. It replaced an industrial station called Calco. Served a plant called, I think, American Cyanomed. And look at this. Conrail Shared Assets Local. There is work that's done here at Bound Brook. A bit of covered hoppers here, wow. There aren't an abundance of crossings on this line as far as Raritan, but beyond Raritan there's quite a few. Coming up soon is Bound Brook Junction. That's where the old Crusader and Wall Street trains used to diverge off of this line and head down towards West Trenton and Philadelphia.
Arriving Bridgewater, rear to train exit only. Exit set of stairs for the members street through. Rear car 7576 Bridgewater.
I think we passed it already. Coming into Bridgewater, it serves a nearby minor league baseball park, TD Bank Stadium. I have rather fond memories of this station. Haha. One time I was going out to the Yingling Brewery in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, driving out there with some relatives, and on the way back on Interstate 78, my radiator decided to empty onto the Interstate 78. A hose broke. Car came to a halt. Fortunately, we were able to pull off the interstate onto a side road, and I called a tow truck, and they took it to a nearby Pet Boys Auto in Bridgewater. But the friends who were with me, they bought cases of beer, and they weren't about to let those cases go, so they walked miles carrying those beer cases on their heads. They were not going to be denied those cases of beer. I had bought a case of beer myself, but I was willing to sacrifice it, but they weren't going to.
Nah, you look like someone else.
The Pet Boys sent it to a mechanic who replaced the radiator, and I had to take the train out here a second time and walk to the mechanic's building, which was about a mile and a half away, with my wife, and she wasn't happy. I had that Nissan Versa. It was a 2007 Nissan Versa. I had that car for 15 years, and that was the only road failure I had with it. And I gave that car to my brother, and he's still driving it. Right around here, there used to be a station called Findern Manville. That might have been the old line to West Trenton right there where those trash containers were.
Pero independent, mas governor, pero independent lang siya. Which is kahit hindi sa Manalo, basta makilala siya, nahingi. Ang kakanda doon ay si Alcala. Kaya, ayun, pero yung mga, wala kasi pari pang tiyan, mga pari, sa kanya lahat, maagang gumalaw siya. Wala naman gagawin sa kanya. Sabi niya, sige.
Next stop is Somerville.
Sa amin ko na rin.
Yeah, definitely considerable freight business on this line. And you saw the CSX engine that powers the local that works these industries. Man, those brakes sound really bad. I'm sure they're working fine, but they just make that irritating noise. I might add, when I was talking about my friend who took pictures, in addition to all those other weird locomotives we saw, CNJ contributed those XB&O blue SD40s. And a train with a pair of Norfolk and Western painted F7s. Ooh, did that hurt. Somerville. Okay, next stop is Raritan, where most trains on this line terminate. Yeah, this line is pretty much the exclusive domain of the ALP 45 DPs. It's kind of monotonous, but some of them are painted in interesting paint schemes, like the Erie Lackawanna, the Blue Armed Forces. Makes it interesting. Last summer, a fellow by the name of Strunk, who was a long-time 50-year-plus CNJ man, was retiring. And to commemorate his retirement, his last run, he powered the CNJ 4109 with a CNJ painted 4109. It was quite a touching sight to see him run that on his last trip.
Raritan, ready to train, Raritan, ready to train.
Can you keep this door closed? Can't keep that door closed. The only way they gotta get off here. So after you get done, get through stuff, you look up, you look up. You see that door open? Oh, somebody walk by, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, arriving Raritan. There's the Raritan Depot. Years ago, there were tracks that went right by that depot that headed into the yard. Where we're stopping on right now is where the main tracks are located. The main tracks saw the freight trains, and years ago saw commuter rail service in the rush hour all the way to Hampton and Phillipsburg. And then it was cut back to High Bridge in the early 80s. The parking lot where those cars are parked are where the old tracks that led into the yard were. Okay, from here on, the rest of the way to High Bridge sees just limited service. Get a chance to see the Raritan Yard. Locking is Boyd. Oh, here's the lead to the yard at Raritan. crew quarters here.
What branch next? Where the train on?
Okay, next stop is North Branch. From here we'll enter some rather rural territory. Substantial facility here. This will all be loaded up with trains later.